接着来看，在美国曾经发生一起史上最轰动的外星人绑架事件。某一天晚上，有一群伐木工下班，突然看到天空闪着诡异的红光。这一群人在好奇之下开车靠近，想看清楚那是什么。结果其中一个人就被天空中盘旋的巨大飞行物发出来的强光给吸了起来，接着离奇消失。其他人说他是被外星人带走了，而就在5天之后，失踪的那位工人，他突然出现在一个加油站。原来这5天，他被那一道强光带到一个有外星人的神秘地方。他说，当时一醒来就有2个小灰人围着他，看起来要对他做实验，而且还被带进一个很神秘的房间。外星人替他戴上类似氧气罩的东西，接着他就失去意识。再度醒来的时候，已经被丢在马路边，甚至连过了5天他都不知道。诡异的是，被外星人绑架过后，他的身体出现了惊人的变化。
What is? What are you guys looking at? Looks like the sunset to me.
Oh, Greg, that's east. Sunset behind us 20 minutes ago.
Well, what do you think it is then?
Maybe a fire, maybe a plane crash in the woods.
Yeah.
6名伐木工人下班之后挤进同一辆车，趁着太阳刚下山，要赶快回到市区。不过就在半路，看到天空中泛着诡异红光，一群人决定上前查看。但是当靠近的时候，收音机莫名受到干扰，到底是什么在等着他们？ 其中一名木工崔维斯独自下车往宽广的草地走去，他抬头看着的是从来没有见过的巨大飞行器，就漂浮在半空中，忽明忽灭，忽红忽白。正当他还在得意，没有什么事情发生的时候，下一秒他却成为了不明生物的猎物。
Jumped into a crouch, which was kind of like down and forward, which brought me that much closer to the crowd. So that when I stood up to run back to the truck, that's what brought my body into the closest proximity to the surface of that craft. Turned my head the other way, and then the woods all lit up a bluish green light. And when I looked back, he's a few feet off the ground and stretched out like this.
一道强光照在崔维斯身上，他被巨大的引力吸起1层楼高之后，重重摔落在地，瞬间不省人事。其他朋友被眼前这幕吓坏，赶紧开车逃跑。不过等他们冷静下来，惊觉不能这样抛下朋友。但15分钟后回到现场，却发现崔维斯已经消失了。
I thought he was dead. And that's when Mike started the truck up and took off. We drove down the road maybe a quarter mile, half mile.
Finally, I just said, I'm going back. You know, you can stay here or you know, get in the truck. And I was surprised that they all got in the truck.
I think we had one flashlight, and he had the headlights of the vehicle shining up in that clearing on that slash pile. We walked around the perimeter with a flashlight, and all in a line, one right behind the other. Once they couldn't find me, and you know, my body wasn't laying where I'd hit the ground, they just figured they needed to go get help.
眼看没有办法，他们决定打电话报警。只不过警方听到他们有朋友被外星人抓走而失踪，这个说法实在令人难以置信。
When I arrived there, there were 6 young men. They were just stomping around, and a couple of them were crying. And I tried to get just as close to each one of them as I could to see if I could detect odors of marijuana or alcohol or anything like that.
We're a rough-looking bunch then, you know, and a bunch of us out there with chainsaws and that, and some conflicts here and there, you know. So they just immediately started assuming, well, they killed this guy, you know, because they weren't going to believe that wild story we were telling them.
有人失踪是事实，很快的，警方展开大范围搜山，想要找出崔维斯的下落，但他们的心里却早已有了答案，认为崔维斯恐怕已经遭遇不测。
When we went to search the next day, they split us up. they had a deputy with each group, and the whole time the deputies asked me, tell me, well, if you just tell us where the body is and what you did with Travis, we can all go home and get this over with.
The days proceeded on, and the helicopter went around, and people expanded, and we never found a footprint or a sign anywhere of Travis Walton.
投入大量警力，还是找不到崔维斯的下落。警方不禁怀疑，难道眼前这几名被他们认定是谋杀嫌疑犯的大男人口中说的外星人绑架情节真实发生吗？
They took me first, and I was scared to death. I figured I was gonna. It took about 2 hours, and it was like 4 questions over and over and over.
Did you murder Travis Walton? No. Did you see what seemed to be a flying saucer? Yes. Did you see the object hit him with a beam of light? Yes.
针对现场5名同行的木工一一进行测谎，不过结果却让警方讶异，因为他们全都通过了考验。正当警方寻人陷入焦灼，突然夜里的一通电话让案情有了重大突破。
A little after midnight on November 12th, Travis's sister's husband received a collect call from an unknown number. At first, he could barely make up what the receiver was saying, about to hang up, thinking it was a wrong number made by a drunk, until the voice spoke clearer and gave his identity. It was Travis.
I was trying to tell him what had happened, just trying to get it out. And it was just too traumatic. I was just, it was all broke up. He said something about how concerned my mother had been in those days, and I didn't understand. It became apparent in the exchange there that I was thinking this was still the same night, and he said, Travis, feel your face. And I reached up and felt that I had a 5-day growth of beard. And, that came as really a terrible shock.
消失了5天，却出现在临近城镇的一个加油站。家人去接他的时候，看到他十分惊慌，体重也轻了将近6公斤。被外星人绑架的人回来了，这个消息也立刻攻占媒体版面。
The first night, I lay down in bed and the phone rang. It did not stop till daylight or after.
I literally sometimes would be on 2 telephones at the same time because I had phone calls from all over the world.
全球各地的电话不断涌入，因为大家都想知道崔维斯消失的这5天到底去了哪里，又遇到了什么事情。
When I regained consciousness, I was looking up at a light shining down on me from the ceiling. I believed that I was in the hospital.
There was a kind of a weird feeling in the air, which may have been some sort of static-y electrical field or maybe magnetic or something. But at the same time, the sound was just extended off of both ranges, the high and the low of human hearing, to where the lows were something you really felt more than heard, and the highs were kind of like something that was like inside your head rather than coming through your ear. It was just such an intense sound, and with a wide range of frequencies there.
I think it was laying across me, and I saw 2 men leaning over me. They had kind of underdeveloped features and no hair. I grabbed up a clear piece of glass or something, and I tried to break off the end with something sharp to defend myself with it. They didn't try to approach or anything. They just left. They just ran out real fast.
仔细回想，从被带上飞船之后的所有经历，仿佛是被小灰人当成实验对象。崔维斯极力反抗，试图挣脱，还在那座疑似太空母舰当中看到了与你我长相相同的人类。
I heard somebody come in, and I turned around, and it was a man. He wasn't like the other creatures or whatever at all. He looked just like you and I, except he had a helmet on. babbling questions to him. I ran over there, and he wouldn't answer me.
The people who were dressed like him that he left me with weren't any more informative. They didn't answer anything. No sounds. It's almost like they didn't want to, to have the most minimum kind of interaction that they could with me. Because they were hiding something, or because I was in such a crazy state, I don't know.
心里有千千万万个疑问，但是对方就是不愿回答。崔维斯被带到一个房间，对方替他戴上氧气罩，之后他就沉沉睡去，也成为了记忆的断点。
I woke up. I was laying on the pavement. I looked up the roadway. It was night, and I could see a light on the bottom of a flying saucer, and it just went straight up really fast, just without a sound.
So you're missing for how many days? Approximately
5 days.
5 days. How long did it feel that you were missing? Like
I thought it was the same night. I was apparently unconscious most of that time.
The humans could only live without water for like 3 days maximum.
So the medical test, examined my state physiologically, and I was, replenished enough to keep me alive and all that. But I don't remember specifically drinking or eating anything.
试图用残存的记忆要拼凑整起事件的原貌，但是外界对他仍然有许多质疑的眼光。
When they looked at me, they just seemed like they were looking right through me. You just can't understand how it would be if it were just right there.
After his return, Travis Walton also passed a polygraph test, verifying the truth of his UFO experience.
The session was taped. It was observed by 2 psychiatrists, 3 actually, a whole team of reporters, other researchers, my brother. There was quite a few people present. Everything was properly conducted.
Well, I was struck by the fact that he described these beings that didn't look quite human. He described them precisely the way another person has described them who had a similar experience. Now, this case has not been published anywhere, and no case like it that I know of has been published, so it's something that Travis could not have read anywhere. And the descriptions are identical.
不仅通过多种测谎仪器的考验，研究人员更发现，崔维斯描述的经历，包含外星人的长相，都和其他未公开个案的描述相同。要说是巧合，几乎不可能。尤其研究人员更在现场发现难以解释的现象。
Not only was there an extreme growth rate to some of these trees around the clearing, but it seems that there's also a directionality to them.
I started checking stumps at the 4 corners of the compass and discovered that there was a swelling and a thickening of the growth rings in the direction that the craft had been, and not on its opposite side. That was where the thickness of the rings were at the minimum.
当年飞船出现附近的树木出现异常成长增生，科学家认为可能是辐射导致，也等于用客观环境证据证明确实有外星飞船造访。然而，为何选上崔维斯？在他身上有留下什么实验痕迹吗？
And I was looking for some sort of side effect in the years afterwards, but I worked 12 hours a day for the next 20 years and never missed a single day's work. Never called in sick one time.
虽然被绑架获释之后，身上没有明显的伤口，难以确定外星人绑走崔维斯的目的，但他也在细细观察，或许不是没被做实验，而是还不到实验结果揭晓的那天。